Hello, thank you for tuning in. It's Linda here and little Minnie in her box bed. I have a quick favor to ask you. Please, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Over 50% of my viewers don't subscribe, and that's probably because they need a reminder just like this. So please click that button. I would really appreciate it. It will boost the overall status of the channel, and it will give me that extra little bit of motivation to keep producing great content for you. Thank you so much in advance, and let's get to the workout. Hello, Linda here from Barlates Body Blitz. Unfortunately, Minnie's not in the studio today, but don't worry, she'll be back very soon. Today we're doing our walk and talk, so I'm going to be chatting to you while we're doing our stepping exercises. I've got a light pair of hand weights today. We're going to do a few arm movements just to change things up a bit. We'll be changing the exercise around every 60 seconds, depending on how much I'm rambling on, but we're definitely going to have some fun today. And I just want you to walk in place whenever there's an exercise you don't like, because the main point of today is just to get those steps in. So we're going to aim for around 4,000 steps in half an hour, just checking my timer to make sure, my step counter, to make sure that I don't shortchange you. So I'm on 8,700 steps, so 4,000 steps is 12,700. Okay, so I'm pressing start now, and we're just going to do it without the weights to begin with, just marching in place. I'm just going to move my timer so it's a bit easier for me to see. And as I always say, if you have a big space, why not walk around the room instead of just staying on the spot? You can definitely do that. Totally up to you how you step today. You can do big knees and big arms, or you can keep it really kind of low and a little bit less intense. But make sure you are using your arms, because if you have a wrist step monitor like I do, it definitely needs the arms to pick up the steps. Deep breaths in, shoulders down and back, your tummy's in, your chest is proud. And just be grateful that you can walk today. Be grateful that your body is able to walk, because there are plenty of people out there who can't walk. And I don't know if you're like me, but maybe sometime in your life you have been bedridden for some reason. And yeah, it's definitely not fun. So let's kick our butt. Nice wide legs. Just getting everything warm and moving before we start doing a few different combinations. So what do I want to talk to you about today? Well, I heard a study recently which was really interesting. It said that longevity, a huge key to longevity, is community, connection, and love and support. And there was this study done because there was this group of Italian people that emigrated to New York. I think this was quite a long time ago. And they kind of stayed within their little community instead of integrating with the other white Americans. And they were in that community for, a number of decades. Let's cross over and heels to the front, big arms. And for whatever reason, even though they started eating the American diet, they didn't get sick like the other white Americans did. And so people investigated, specialists investigated to see what was the difference between this group and other groups. And they found that it was definitely their community spirit. They always helped each other out. They supported each other financially, as well as just being there when people were going through hard times. And that just made a massive difference. And another part of it was eating together. So they would just have people over for dinner. They had like an open door policy where people could, just come in and say hi and stay for dinner. And it was just very much like back in the day, where people knew each other. And let's stay on one side and butt kick with a nice pullback. Yeah, well, people knew each other. They knew their neighbors. Their kids played together. It was kind of much more community oriented. And now more and more studies are coming about that is actually a huge factor for longevity and health in general. That people who have really great connections, friendships, we're going to change sides. they tend to live longer and they tend to not have as many diseases, even though they're eating the same foods. So they're eating all the gluten, they're eating all of the foods that are, high in trans fats or seed oils or toxic glyphosate and all of those things, but they are not reacting to them in the same way. So it goes to show that having that support, let's go 2 steps across, just helps them to somehow be happier overall. And when you feel happier, your body actually reacts to that. So that kind of got me thinking. And if you don't know my story, I have been recovering from what's called TSW, which is topical steroid withdrawal. After using steroid creams since I was a child for eczema, I stopped using them in August 2020. And from that point on, my body had to pretty much figure out how to regulate my hormones without that external cortisol, which basically the creams, the steroid creams, are an external version of cortisol. So let's pick up our hand weights. Let's just do little taps with bicep curls. So yeah, basically that messed up my hormones big time. And as a result, I went on this massive journey of trying to find health again, of trying to look at my diet, look at my sleep, look at my, meditating, look at exercise, look at every single thing I could possibly find to help me heal quicker. And even though I came across a lot of amazing information, and I've shared a lot of that with you guys on this channel, there were also a lot of things which kind of stressed me out about that journey, because there were so many contradictions. One specialist would say eat more protein. Another specialist would say cut out all inorganic foods or foods that weren't organic. Another specialist would say it's about the supplements. Let's go slow, pull back, pull back. Now I want you to start squatting up. So it's a bit slower, really pull back. So yeah, it was a bit confusing at times because no matter what I looked into, there was always someone else saying almost the opposite. And I found that I was getting more stressed out trying to figure out what to eat, how to basically change my lifestyle to heal. And that stress was worse for my condition than if I would have had just a really simple approach. But being the alpha sort of A personality that I am, I never do things by halves. And so I tried to figure it all out. I tried to control every little thing that went in my mouth and just really figure out what I was doing. Let's just march in place using those weights. These weights make a difference. They make me puff. So out, in with those little arms and punches. It's a fast pace, people, so if you're finding it too hard to keep to the beat, slow it down. So yeah, basically what I have come to after all of this is I had this realization the other day. I thought back on all the times in my life when I was the happiest. And guess what? For me, that was when I felt the most free. When I felt like perhaps I didn't have as many responsibilities, or I just had more joy in my life. Where I chose joy, where I chose to do things that I enjoyed on a regular basis, like on a daily, weekly basis. Now let's prance in place and go back to those bicep curls. Now turn your palms up. So I'm lifting my heels, but I'm not actually jumping. So then I thought back, and for me, the indication was skin, because I've always struggled with eczema and skin issues. I thought to myself, when was my skin actually the best? And it was once again when I felt the happiest, It was a direct link. When I was happy, when I was spending a lot of time with people that I really loved, when I felt supported, when I felt at peace within myself. And it seemed quite clear, just looking throughout my life, that that is a huge key, that health and happiness are definitely linked, okay? And they're proving that medically now as well. So I'm going to come to a little heel tap, pull down, bring that heel up. So why am I saying all of this? Because I have realized that you can only get so far with knowledge about certain things, whether it be about weight loss, whether it be about healing from various diseases, food, diet. You can be a specialist and you can know the nitty-gritty of how the body absorbs this or does that. But if you are not happy within yourself and you're not enjoying life, all of that knowledge will only help you to a certain point. It will not give you that full freedom and healing that really everyone is looking for. We're going to come into a little hip pop, pulling that elbow down, and the other one's kind of doing a little bicep. Pull, pull. You can do it wider if you want and keep it more on the spot. So what I'm trying to say is our body listens to our mind and to our nervous system. So when we are stressed, we are putting ourselves in fight or flight mode. Back in the day, that mode was literally being chased by a lion. Today, we are being put in that mode simply because our bodies were never designed to put up with all the stresses that we have in our day-to-day lives. So, what can we do to stop ourselves from constantly being in fight or flight? Same thing, other hip pop, pop. The best thing to do is to learn how to listen to your body, how to tune in again. And that all sounds like really woo-woo, but the fact is, we all know that there have been times in our lives when we've had intuition about something and we've listened to it and things have worked out, or we've had intuition about something, we listened to it, we didn't listen to it, and things didn't work out, right? We've all had those experiences. So what is that intuition? You know, like people can talk about listening to your heart. You know, there's so many ways, listening to your soul, so many ways of kind of describing it. But I try to just keep it really simple. I'm going to put my weights down again. And we're going to come in step, step, front, front, step, step, front, front. So I try and keep it really simple. Basically, I just try and check in with my body. How am I feeling? Am I noticing that there's tightness in my chest? Am I noticing that my breathing is getting more shallow maybe, or quicker? Am I noticing kind of that anxious feeling rising in my chest? Am I noticing sweaty palms? There are many different ways that anxiety or stress manifest themselves in our bodies. And if you are able to figure out when you're getting stressed and just take yourself out of that situation for a second, take some deep breaths, and even just acknowledge that I am feeling stressed now. Let's go across knee, across knee. Even just that is a huge win. You are tuning in to your body, okay? And when we live in a society that is so fast-paced, it's often difficult to do that. That's why people do things like meditation, where you actually take 15, 20 minutes out. Some people do like 2 hours. I don't do that. I do like 15 minutes. and you take that time to learn to just listen to your body. Just tune in, trying to stop thinking and just relax your nervous system, giving your body that break it needs in this hectic life to kind of just get out of that stress state. And if you've listened to any of my other talks, this directly relates to fat loss. Okay, we're going to go up and forward, up and back, up and forward, up and back. The reason it relates to fat loss is because cortisol is the stress hormone. And every time you get stressed, which can be simply from feeling overwhelmed about what you need to do, or it could be just your own negative and anxious thoughts about an upcoming event or about something that happened in the past that you can't even change, you are flooding your body with cortisol. And when there's cortisol in your system, basically it means fat burning is not a priority. If you're in fight or flight and your body feels like you're getting chased by a lion, the priority is not to burn fat and make you look pretty, let's face it. So, breathe. We're going to do the other side. Forward, up and back, up and forward, up and back. So, it actually is counterproductive to fat loss. So if you want to lose fat, you need to get into that resting mode where your body feels safe to start burning fat. So that's the reason why I'm telling you this whole long story about wellness in general, happiness, joy, connection, love, support. All of those things are connected to how your nervous system is reacting in your day-to-day life, which is directly related to whether your body is going to allow you to lose fat or not. So, what have I changed since kind of thinking about it in this new way? Go across, side and side. Across for 2, side and side. If you want to keep using your weights, you can. I'm just going to keep going without the weights for a bit. We'll pick them up again later. So what I have changed is I have stopped being so obsessive about food. I have realized that it's not the food that's causing my skin to flare. It's the stress about the food. Okay? Of course, I'm not saying that everyone is in the same boat. I don't have allergies. Some people are actually allergic to certain foods. I only had intolerances, which means I get a mild reaction, but I could never actually pinpoint to what foods. You know, in my mind, psychologically, I was saying, oh, it must be the toxic food. It must be, let's go side and side. With a little bounce if you wanted, let's sweep our arm. I correlated it with the toxic food because, you know, it would make sense. But have you heard of this syndrome that medical students get when they're studying all these different diseases? There's actually a name for it. I can't remember it right now. If you remember it, comment below, or if you know it. They start getting the symptoms of the diseases they're studying because they convince themselves that they have it, and your brain is so powerful that it doesn't actually know the difference between something being real or not. So when you start thinking, I've got this, I've got this, I've got this, your body actually can produce the symptoms. Isn't that crazy? So I think that's kind of what was happening more in my life. Up knee, tap back, up knee, tap back. I think that was more realistically happening in my life than me actually reacting to the foods, because I could never actually say, oh, it's definitely this food. When I eat this food, anytime I eat this food, X, Y, Z happens. That never happened. It was always like, oh, maybe it's this. Maybe I'll eliminate it for a few weeks or months and see what happens. and I never got a clear answer. So I have decided now I will not be doing that anymore. I want to focus very much on wellness in general, of course, but doing things every day that bring me joy, like a super fun workout. I'm not killing myself doing workouts that I don't actually enjoy anymore, just a fun workout. And just spending moments, let's just march in place for this last interval. It's not the last interval, but it's after 20 minutes. I'll tell you a secret, I have to change the camera. That's why you always see like a little tiny edit after 20 minutes. It's because my camera can only film a certain amount of time before it turns itself off automatically. Yes, I know, I need a new camera. So after 20 minutes, I have to restart it. So yeah, I basically am focusing on tuning in, learning my nervous system, learning how to keep myself calm during stressful situations, even if it means removing myself from those situations, and finding joy in my day-to-day life. And I kid you not, since I started doing that, changes are happening in my body for the positive. I feel like healing is happening much more quickly. So yeah, I feel like changes are happening much more quickly for the positive. And the most important thing is I don't feel as stressed about things, because before I felt there was this huge level of stress in having to get things right, in having to control things. And now I'm really focusing on just feeling good every day in the moment as much as possible. And obviously that's not always going to happen, because there's always circumstances that come up that kind of derail you, but getting back on track as soon as possible with choosing to feel good. And with that, obviously still using all of the knowledge that I had about nutrition and exercise, and generally eating healthily, but then also just allowing myself splurges of the foods that I thought were not good for my healing. We're gonna go side and in. Maybe put some hips into it if you want. So now I realize that when I go out for dinner with friends, for example, and I want to eat some of those foods like dairy or like gluten, foods that in the past I would have demonized, the excitement and the enjoyment of going out trumps any of the negative effects of those foods. So I've just changed the way I think about it. It's all about loving myself enough to enjoy this life that I have, to be grateful for the amazing things that I have in my life, and to not try to control anyone, including myself. Because trying to control myself all the time is not fun. It's kind of the opposite of fun, right? And even trying to control other people, other side, it's just not fun. It's not something that you can maintain. You just end up stressing yourself out and making yourself unhappy every single day. But basically, now, one thing that has helped me, actually, I'll mention, that has helped me a lot is the concept of choose a better thought, okay? So say you're in a situation that's substandard, it's really not great, you feel triggered, you feel stressed. In that moment, you can't kind of go from, feeling negatively to feeling really happy. You need to kind of find just a better way of thinking, just one step up, not something that's like out of reach. So when you're in that place, trying to be joyful and happy and positive is obviously not going to happen. It's fake, right? Forward and back, forward and back. Hey, let's pick up our weights again, because we haven't done that for a while. So it's forward in, back, forward in, back. So yeah, if you can choose one better thought, if it's to do with a person that's annoyed you, try and think of one positive thing about that person. If you can, try to think of one thing that you're grateful for in the moment. Just changing your attitude and choosing to think one better thought than what you were thinking, it makes you feel so victorious. It makes you feel empowered because you are in control of how you feel all of a sudden. And when you choose that better thought, you actually then can think another better thought and another better thought, and they can keep getting better and more positive. So let's go knees and across the body. So you can slowly build a collection of thoughts, one upon the next, to then getting you out of that stinky mindset. Because you're going to get out of it anyway, right? Let's just think about this for a second. Whatever is bothering you right now, there will come a time, whether it be an hour, 2 hours, a day, a week, where you're not going to think about that anymore and where you're going to feel happier. So why elongate that period of unhappiness? Why not learn how to regulate your nervous system so that you can get out of that stinky place quicker? Isn't that a win-win for everyone? I think so. Front, out, and down. This is actually quite hard for the heart rate right now, talking and doing all this fast-moving stuff to a fast speed. We're nearly done. So I want to wrap up what I'm talking about. So I'm basically just sharing my experience dealing with all sorts of issues over the last 3 years with my health and looking at all different modalities and pathways of healing and where I've come to after more than 3 years. And I really hope this mindset shift helps someone. You know, like just to be okay with yourself where you're at, learning to accept yourself and all your imperfections, learning not to have to control yourself. Butt kicks with double time, biceps. Learning not to have to control everything you do because it's exhausting. You're exhausting yourself, right? Realizing that it's okay to eat that dessert every now and then. It's okay to skip the workout. It's okay to do a workout that is a lot easier than you usually would. I have had so many times in my life where I felt guilty about not working out very hard or for too short a time. Or I'd look back at my past self and I'd think to myself, I used to do this or I used to do that. And I used to feel guilty about not keeping up with myself, my past self. Not anymore. I've realized that, let's go 2 across with weights to the back. Contract your shoulder blades. I've realized that all of that stress and guilt I put myself under was not being kind to myself. And to be honest, when I had periods where, say, I was injured, because that's the only way my body could actually stop me from just going and going and going, when I couldn't do those tough workouts and I had to tone it down, guess what happened? I got better results than when I was trying to control everything I ate, trying to work out as hard as I could. I got better results. You know why? Because I was being more gentle on my body. So that was in the physical sense. And now I'm focusing on being more gentle and kind to myself mentally as well. So I really hope that this conversation is something that side to side, bent arms, is something that will help people to realize that in this life, which is so short, we have a choice. We can either try our hardest to control everyone and everything, including ourselves, stress ourselves out, keep burning ourselves out, and end up being sick. You're guaranteed to end up having sicknesses in your later life if you do not stop, if you do not realize that what you're doing is harming yourself. The choice is you can choose to be happy right now. You can choose to think a better thought, a more positive thought. You can choose joy in your life. Even when there's circumstances that aren't great, you can still choose joy. Let's go forward, forward, back, back. Every single day you can find something to enjoy in life, whether it's being with your pet, your child, going in a beautiful, natural setting, looking up at the sky. There are so many things you can find appreciation and joy for. So writing in a journal is always a great place to start as well. Gratitude journal. So that's basically my little realization I had this last few weeks. And I'm already just feeling freer. I'm already feeling relief that I don't have to do it all, that I don't have this burden on my shoulders to perfectly figure things out anymore. I can literally just focus on one day at a time, and my health will fall into place when I am more aligned. Let's put our weights down because we've actually finished our 30 minutes, but we'll keep walking while I wrap it up. Deep breath in. Actually, before I wrap it up more, 11,500. I think we've got, did I say 8,700? I think we've got 200 steps, so let's just finish them off. So, I can't remember what I just said, but basically, I am choosing to relax. And by me relaxing my grip on life, my nervous system will have that chance to take a breather, relax a little bit. And that in turn will translate to better health. And in the case of weight loss, if you need to lose weight, fat I mean, not weight, then it will translate to your body being in that state of relaxation where you can work on things like fat loss, right? So do yourself a favor and start loving yourself one day at a time, one thought at a time, one action at a time. Do what it takes. Listen to some podcasts. Delve into learning how to love and appreciate yourself, because you're the only one that's going to be with you for your entire life, right? You're not here to live a life for other people. You're here to live your own life. And you need to find your purpose, your joy in that life. And when you are aligned with where you're supposed to be, you will radiate that positive energy to everyone around you, and they will benefit from it. Okay, so that's what I have for you today. I hope that it helps some people. Comment below if there's anything you got out of it, if there's anything you would like to add. Add some nuggets of wisdom. Maybe you've been doing this process for way longer than me. I'd love to hear. And I look forward to walking with you guys again very soon. Let's double check. We're on 11,800. So we're actually 100 steps over. Thanks for listening to me. I love walking and talking with you guys, and I will see you very soon. Bye for now.